Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we're going to be taking a first look at Gold Mythic Mateo, who is going to be the event character for the event called Carnival of Corpses. More information on that to follow, but he was one of the characters that was kind of under wraps at the beginning of the announcement of the Mythic trial for Outlanders. And now we've kind of unwrapped and seen that he is going to be a tough character. He has got that trusty hammer on his back, but looking very reminiscent of the S-Class character that we had seen in the past. On the left-hand side, we see the tattoos in like full glory. We see the, what's that, an anchor and a heart. On the left-hand side, he's got like the eagle on the middle. What's that, a rose? Maybe another heart. But I do love the animation of with the shotgun. It is kind of like a long animation, but it is actually pretty cool. He's got that trusty hammer in his hand this time around on his art. And people were very correct. People assumed it was Mateo very quickly. That little dangling ID card on his arm really did narrow it down for a lot of people. If we look at his stats, as a level 1440, limit break 3, that's a maxed out character, just his base stats before mods and such. He has got 27,066 attack, 27,066 defense, and 23,200 HP. He is a tough character. He has got the support role. Of course, he's going to be a Gold Mythic character, and he is going to be another character to join the Outlanders Allegiance, making him the 5th character to join, along with Imani, Brutus, Scotsman, and the Wanderer. Let's get into his kit to find out what he has to offer, and his adrenaline rush is called Fancy Shots. It's a 66 AP cost rush. Deal 500% damage to 3 enemies. Those enemies get minus 20 AP. So pretty basic. He's doing a bit of damage. This can't crit, so it can't utilize things like Rampage as a tough character, but it also cannot have any issues with weapons. You know, there can't be any like absolute defense procs or anything like this. And those enemies then lose AP after that. So let's say you attack 3 enemies and the entire team is full AP. The target that you actually select will get minus 20 AP after the damage, and then 2 random enemies will have exactly the same situation occur. Now, he's not a control character, so there is a potential chance that some characters who have passive AP drain resist can actually stop this from happening. I think there's only like 1 or 2 characters in the game that actually have that, but you never know, more could come in the future. Other than that, it is pretty basic. Okay, so I have got the adrenaline rush up here of Mateo, and as you can see, that a couple of characters are prepared to rush. Now, my damage should be significant enough that I actually take these characters out, but I'm going to target the one with the most HP, and it will be minus 20 AP to that character, and all other characters that get hit. And you can see that Garrett was one of those other characters. And we did some takedowns. It is going to do a little bit of damage. I don't think this is going to be the heaviest hitting rush. It's more about the control. But if those characters were max HP with full rush, they would now have to do another basic attack, signature move, whatever it would take to gain more AP, and generally take another turn to be able to rush. Now we'll take a look at the upgrades on this adrenaline rush, and initially it's going to be a 75 AP cost rush, but at grade 3 it gets reduced to 66. At grade 5, it gets plus 2 damage targets. This is actually a pretty huge upgrade, but it's only going to take 2 copies of this character to get that. And then at limit break 2, it gets the minus 20 AP to those enemies. So initially, it's only going to attack 3 enemies for 500% damage at grade 5 and LB1 until it gets to that limit break 2 and beyond. I would say that's probably quite important, because that's mainly what this is going to bring to the table for the majority of the people that use this character. It's going to be more of a control character than a damage dealer. You might be able to start the fight with this character in terms of the rush and, you know, pepper down some characters, maybe follow up with someone who actually has a specialist skill that can get bonuses if they get takedowns or if they've got decaps and stuff like that. It wouldn't be too bad a combo there. Now, I think this rush overall isn't too fantastic. I haven't got like the wow factor from it at all in any way. And the fact that it deals damage rather than attacks, it means it can't potentially synergize with a weapon. It can't potentially synergize with a specialist skill. And unless there's a very particular passive, again, it can't potentially, you know, synergize there either. So it looks very one-dimensional and non-expansive. But who knows? We'll have to wait and see when we get onto the passives. Now, where Mateo's kit's going to brighten up nicely is going to be the signature move, and it is called Traumatic Technique. It has got an initial cooldown of turn 1, cooldown of 2 turns, number of uses unlimited, attack 2 enemies for 300% damage each. Those enemies get 5,000 trauma for 2 turns. Now, this is going to be very interesting because I'm pretty sure there are certain things that can synergize with this and affect how powerful it's going to be. For instance, that will be a 300% hit, but it should be able to double attack and crit, and that does mean rampage as well, and 300% is extremely high. You know, you think about like Kenny has, I believe, a 200%. Lydia, I think, has 200. So this is really high, and the fact, like I say, you can get it to crit with the weapon, nice. Now when it comes to the trauma, I don't think if he hits a double attack it would do 2 hits of the trauma, because it's just going to be effect going on them based on them being hit at all. So there's not going to be any sort of amplification potential there. But 5,000 trauma is nice. It stacks with any other trauma too. So if you have another trauma character like the Wanderer, those characters can work together and you can lay down more trauma because of that. Okay, so here we are on turn 1, and I'm just going to use the signature move. We're going to target a character we're going to do trait damage against. Now I have got a double attack rampage weapon here, so we'll see the potential. I'm going to do it. Are we going to get a double attack? We're going to get rampage. We didn't get a double attack, but you did see the rampage occur, and you can see significant damage has come out. The 300% is no joke at all, especially when it crits. You saw it hit for like 30k there, and these are just unmodded characters against each other, so they're going to be around the same power, but you can obviously amplify Mateo's attack much more. 1535s, certain weapons to buff the team. Now you can see those characters have that trauma, and I have got the Wanderer. I believe his signature move does trauma, and unless it gets the kill in here, and you can see it's stacked up to 15,000 trauma on Alice. That means any time that she resists, she'll take 15,000 damage. Now she hasn't got much health left, but you know what some of these defense team characters are like. They can have 50, 60, just immense amounts of HP. It bypasses defense. There's no sort of reduction on this damage, so it's very nice indeed. Now if we look at the upgrades on the signature move, you can see it gets -1 to cooldown at grade 2, so it goes from 3 turns down to 2 turns. It gets an upgrade where the enemy gets 5,000 trauma for 2 turns at grade 4, so initially it doesn't actually do any trauma. At limit break 1 it gets -1 to starting cooldown, and that means it goes from a turn 2 starting cooldown down to a turn 1 starting cooldown. And then we have the big upgrade at LB3 where it gets a second target and a trauma target. This is actually pretty big. Initially it will only attack 1 target, so 1 chance of double attack, 1 chance of rampage, and then it will only do 5,000 trauma to 1 target. I would definitely say getting this character to LB3 on that signature move is important, and this is the highlight so far of this character's kit. Where would you want this character to be more powerful? Would you want a more powerful first turn signature move, or would you want a more powerful rush? I think most people would prefer a signature move that's powerful and hard hitting early on in the fight, rather than a powerful rush at turn 3, you know, and beyond potentially, or if your character even makes it that far. So this is in your hands. The enemy team's generally not going to do much about this, and this is going to be much more devastating than the rush. And also the fact that any follow-up damage again is just going to be dealing with much weaker characters could have some decent synergy with the likes of characters like Kenny, for instance, who likes to get those last hits in. So definitely the highlight so far. I was a bit disappointed with the rush if you couldn't tell, but the signature move is looking very nice. Now what do Mateo's mythic abilities have in store for us? These are his passive skills, of course. The first one is called Cunning, and that of course means that when he does any attacks, he will have less chance of proccing weapons. This is extremely important on his signature move, but not important at all on his rush, but obviously just as important as his signature move on his basic attacks. This is nice. On the next one, he has got Crowd Charmer. When this character neutralizes an enemy, 100% chance to remove all positive effects from that enemy, and that can be very, very good against certain enemies. For instance, like Imani. If you can remove her buffs, like for instance her Halo, any nukes that come in afterwards are just pure nukes. She's getting taken out and she's not getting back up. You know, that's actually pretty decent there. Now, it won't be good against someone like Eris, because Eris gets it in a certain mode. Same with Vance, she gets it in a certain mode. She cannot be attacked when she's in Outlast, neither can Vance. and this needs to actually attack a character for it to actually work. Now, this part of the kit will work with the signature move, and this potentially can proc twice with the signature move. So obviously the first attack you control, the second attack will be completely random, but this could happen twice. So you could effectively just fully cleanse 2 characters and impair them on the same turn. Now the next passive is called a True Showman. I initially read it as a True Snowman, and I was like, well, hold up. This character gets 150% attack when rushing or attacking impaired enemies. So he kind of gets Cutthroat 1, I believe that would be, when a character is impaired. That's not too bad. I guess he could be teamed up with other characters that do heavy impair. He doesn't have any impair on his kit, unfortunately, except on that specialist skill, and that is extremely, you know, like, it's not necessarily going to happen too often, but we'll see. The last one is called Carnival Training. When this character neutralizes an enemy, 60% chance another enemy gets impaired for 2 turns. So when he does now and again get the chance to impair an enemy, he will obviously, with that neutralize, he will obviously impair another enemy. What's really good about this though is, let's say you have 4 enemies with, let's say, 70% AP, and you have 1 enemy with 95% AP, you can only neutralize that 1 character. However, when you attack that character, you could potentially impair another character, which is obviously good. And that does mean the ceiling potential on his signature move goes from neutralizing 2 characters to potentially neutralizing 2 and having 2 extras impaired on top. So he could effectively impair 4 characters on that signature move. That signature move is definitely the business for this character. Okay, so the defense team has got their adrenaline rushes up, and my Mateo is in position to get those neutralizers in and hopefully get some extra impairs on top. I'm going to target this character down the bottom. I think he's got an absolute defense weapon, but if it absolute defense, it's nice to see if it actually works. But I'm pretty sure it will. As you can see, the neutralize does come in, and we get 2 attacks. And that 1 neutralize that we got, because Alice wasn't actually neutralized, she was too low on the AP. You can see that Garrett did hit the 60% when I attacked Claudio. 60% chance it would impair another, and Garrett did get impaired. And if that second hit would have actually attacked a target that would have been neutralized too, again, there would have been a 60% chance that another character would be impaired as well. I really would have liked to have seen 4 characters get impaired there. That would have been really cool, but I'm sure someone's going to have a screenshot at some point. We're going to have a grade 1 here upgrade of Crowd Charmer Part 1. It's a 50% chance to remove all positive effects from the enemy when neutralizing the character. At grade 2, we're going to have the first half of Cunning. At grade 3, we have the second half of Crowd Charmer. At grade 4, we have the first half of a True Showman. This character gets 60% attack when rushing or attacking impaired enemies. This is great, so it's not like a chance to get that. That's awesome. And then at grade 5, this Carnival Training first half comes in, and that's a 20% chance another character gets impaired for 2 turns. There's going to be the boost LB upgrades. You can see at LB 1, it's going to be Cunning 2 stacking with Cunning 1, making it 30% chance to stop weapons when being attacked and when attacking. Limit Break 2, it's the second half of a True Showman, going up to 150% attack bonus when rushing or attacking impaired enemies. This is going to obviously be good if you have that signature move come up a second time. Generally, that first signature move is not going to do much. And then at LB3, you'll have Carnival Training Part 2 come in, and that will go up to a 60% total that an enemy will get impaired for 2 turns when he neutralizes an enemy. So overall, I don't think this is too bad. His, passives are actually pretty decent, and his rush does get boosted a bit. I did say that it's potentially, just going to be kind of the way it is, not very good, but it does get boosted a bit. It is obviously going to be circumstantial, but it is a pretty big boost. 150% attack boost on that rush. While it is only a 50% base, it does mean it will go significantly higher when he rushes if they are impaired, and that means that he's got potential to do a much bigger hit. Same with that signature move, although it is much more unlikely that the signature move will actually, hit someone who is impaired until round 2. And a lot of the times, I think you're hoping that the fight would probably be over that point. But at least you can do a signature move turn 1, attack turn 2, and impair somebody with the neutralize and so on and so forth, and maybe get a secondary impair, and then rush the next turn and hopefully blow up a couple of characters. So far, Rush, not amazing. Does get boosted by passives here. Signature move, pretty much the centerpiece of this character. And now these passives are actually pretty decent and work well with the rest of his kit as well. And the last part on the rest of his kit is that specialist skill. I'll just read through it so people understand how it works. When this character attacks a human target that has 80% or more adrenaline, it used to be I think 90%, it did get reduced, that target will be impaired for 1 turn. Impaired characters cannot gain AP or use adrenaline rushes. It's as simple as that. Now that does mean this specialist skill can be resisted. And there aren't too many specialist skills out there that can be resisted, except let's say Headhunter for crosshairs, although recently even Decap can be resisted, to be fair. But a lot of the specialist skills cannot, and that's one downside. You could just be happy enough that Impair Resist is not too prevalent at all. Now when it comes to Mateo's weapon, he has got a base weapon, so you can put whatever you want in his hands. This does mean that potentially that shotgun we see on the left hand side could make it into the game in other means. It could be like a battle pass weapon in the future, although unlikely. A lot of the time it's to do with the character involved. It could be in the store. It could be in this week's Carnival of Corpses. We'll have to see. I just hope that when it does come into the game, it is actually useful for Mateo himself. And for that to be the case, it probably would be like an Impair on attack weapon. I'd like to see an Impair on attack 1535 attack huge bonus sort of weapon. Just get everyone a nice little Impair on attack weapon maybe. We'll see. We'll see what happens, guys. But otherwise, you can use a Rampage double attack weapon in his hands and it will massively boost that signature move if you want to utilize him more for damage than control. So this is Gold Mythic Mateo, and he is the event character, like I said, for the Carnival of Corpses event. And we'll find out how to get this character. I don't think the event will be too long, maybe like a couple of weeks. So this is basically the Molly of this Allegiance, you know, this Mythic Trial. And like kind of like how we had Jackie, the same sort of deal. There all seems to be one character in the Allegiance Mythic Trials that is the event character, effectively. But although in this one we have got Brutus, which is very accessible, and so, you know, effectively you can maybe say 2 that are very accessible. Hopefully, fingers crossed, Mateo's accessible. We'll have to see. Do tell me your thoughts on this character, how useful you think he'll be. Do you think he has potential in any way? Let me know in the comments down below. That is the end of my video. I want to thank you very much for tuning in, and as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.